Okay, week zero, or week zero, week 10,
Day one.
day one. But this is part one. What we're going to do today, guys, is give you a complete recap going right from buying the property in a nutshell through to where we're at today. I'm Ken,
I'm Lean.
and these are our kids, John
And Floor.
and Floor. Right, John? Yes, I know John and Floor. Okay, let's get to it. Guys, straight out of the gate, I'm going to say this. Last year, we bought the land, and I built the garage, but Lynn has worked really hard in the last 8 years. She's budgeted very well. She has saved enough money to build this house. Yay. But also, she has her retirement plan still in effect in Canada, and she is saving for that as well. So when I do Forex Friday, this comes from both of us,
Yeah.
even though I'm being the heavy. You gotta save in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you a walk around on this whole mess of mud and everything.
Yeah, and puddles.
Not poodles, puddles.
Oh yeah. The puddles.
The property we bought is on the west side of the island. So we have most of our airflow coming from the east to the west. So we get little air off the ocean directly at us, but we get a nice breeze here. So the highway is right there. So we have nice, easy on and off access to a paved road. We have a birthing center and covered court here, and a community garden, as well as the quietest neighbors you will ever have. That's a cemetery, guys. Doesn't bother me in the least. We've had a lot of people coming and looking for land in the area, asking about land, and then they realize the cemetery is there and they just leave. Conversation over. So the piece of property that we bought is quite narrow. It is 13 meters wide at this end, and it is a total of around 1,500 square meters, because in the Philippines, you can see they put a road here. This used to be a motorcycle path. They put in a single lane road. And the way it works here in the Philippines is we've had to donate even more land. So our new property pin is here, but we know that we are going to have to donate up to about where that cocoa lumber is. That's how it works here, guys. That's how they get their roads. Donation. Okay, so we have a offer on this piece of land. They have not completed their tax declaration. And every time a salesperson tries to sell that land, we say there's no tax deck, and then they walk away. Because until a tax declaration is in place, you do not know that they for sure own the land. But we have an understanding with the current owner slash potential that we want this land, and they have accepted our offer. That's why we shoo everybody away. We bought this land for just over 1,000 pesos per square meter, and like I say, we've got roughly 1,500 square meters. Let's nip you right up to the front. Before we get to the front, we have made good rapport with the fellow that owns some cows, and we have asked him to keep the cows coming onto the land because it keeps the grasses down. So he's been doing our land and the future land that we hope to own. So we have a piece of property that's on the ocean, but it's mangrove based. But most importantly, we are up roughly 12 to 15 feet off of the tide, and so we installed this rock wall, also known as a reprop, and matched it up to the neighbors. And when we had the Department of Environment come through, they were happy to see this done. Now, Here's what we've been doing, guys. We have been pulling, as we've had to rework the land, we've been pulling all of this black soil out and moving it to where we want grass. And since we had a lot of rock and everything delivered, we kind of destroyed this area. And so we decided that we would pull up any further black soil and move it back. And then we sifted a lot of the what they call anapogue, which is coral ocean bottom that's been pushed up. Cebu is not a volcanic island. Now let's get to the house. So we're doing something from a Western standpoint called a minimalist house. To a Filipino, this is a grand palace. Now I only say that because in our community, a 5 meter by 5 meter can easily be a 2-bedroom house. Okay, that's not uncommon here. From a Westerner standpoint, this is 60 square meters of house, roughly 600 square feet, with another 40 square meters of deck, all covered. Okay, out the front we have a very long deck, which is only 2 meters by the width of the house, which is 880. And so we have western sunset, cool evening here, southeast corner covered area. And the reason that we've done that is convection. I checked the airflow and how things move once we installed the garage, and that's the best place for it. Of course, on the south side, we will have to add some shadowing to help with not necessarily the convection, but just keeping that direct sun out of the area. We have a 1-bedroom with ensuite. We have a 2nd bathroom and a TV room down at the back here, which could be converted to a bedroom if it wanted to be, but we have no door going on it, and the wall for the kitchen comes back into this quadrant and goes over, and the CR is there, and so it would be an angled door if you did put a door in there. Now, in our project, we are using a new block, not new to the world, but new to the Philippines in many respects, called AAC, autoclave aerated concrete. Now, that is the aerated concrete down there. And here's the way I'm going to explain this. It's very light. It's very easy to work with. I'll link one of our other videos where I show how you can drill into it and all that sort of thing. India and Malaysia use this block a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, Germany was the one that originated this type of method. So after Typhoon Odette, we realized that we needed a full steel roof, and I mean steel. I do not mean these tin can aluminum foil, what they call C purlins, because they're shaped like a C. You can bend them by hand, guys, and I see a lot of very expensive homes going in with this cheap roof. We saw many homes where the roof was tore off, and it was not the aluminum or the galvanized sheeting for the roof was just fine, but it ripped out of the purlins. Okay, so this major wall here, let me zoom back a bit. This major wall here is all AAC, and the length of that wall is equivalent to this white area going all the way around. This area we built with hollow block, and that we built with AAC. Installation time, because there is no steel in it, there is no concrete in it, it is all just block and adhesive. That took 2 days to do, right down to paint. That took 5 days with hollow block. And now you have to add concrete, you have to add steel, and the labor component. The labor is not that much, guys. We have, how many guys we got right now, Lynn? 12 guys?
They were, wait a minute, 6, they were 5, 6, 7.
7, okay. We're down to 7, and we had around 10 at one point here, and that's costing us $500 Canadian per week, about $450 US. So labor is not the issue. So suffice to say is this roof is going on all steel, okay? And a ridge point has to be made. That one little piece of steel is just a support. They'll cut that out. And we have a higher mill roof coming to us. The consistency of the mill on the many of the pre-made product varies. I brought a what do you call it? One of those tools and test the thickness. My brain is just not here today. And so when I tested that, I realized, and we'd heard, that the consistency is not there. So like last year, the guy that's doing the roof has ordered more steel, and we'll have it rolled locally, but a much better thickness. So the way they do the gutters here, guys, is this looks like it's gutter on this side to match the gutter that's on the other side. But that's just fascia matching up to the roof, and it covers, it overlaps over the sheeting on the roof. Last year, our big score were these IBC totes. Got them nice and inexpensive, and so they saved our bacon, because you're not allowed a water connection here until you have a washroom. Which means you got to haul all your water in. So for a while we were having to pay for drinking water, 10 pesos per jug to be added to there so that we could do our jobs. One major construction difference between hollow block and AAC is that when it comes to AAC, you must have your slab in first, because you're going to be laying the AAC directly on the slab. If you've seen other videos of hollow block, sometimes they even put all the wall up and then use plywood to hold and then pour in between, which gives them a 4-inch pillar. In our case, we went to 8-inch. We did not want to opt in for the 10-inch. We're not going to do a second story, so that's out. Now, when it comes to hollow block, guys, it is not a Western quality, what we call in Canada, cinder block. It is not anywhere near the quality. It's very easy to chip. You can pull it apart with your hands, all of that type of stuff. So in all of our cases where we've used hollow block, it's 100% fill inside the hollow block. And then of course we've got our coating on the outside. And in our case, we are painting and waterproofing all of our lower concrete. So that's had one coat of sealant. It needs another coat on there. And then the final coat will go on with a color. We don't want to do the color until we know what we've got here. It's nice to see it in full form. Right now it just kind of looks like commercial space, doesn't it? Now, friends of ours that we met last year before we started our build, they went through the whole process of finding out who were the good and who were the bad and who were the ugly. We kept some of the ugly because they were good, and so we are using that crew and a couple of locals for labor. But suffice to say is we have been very happy with them. Now, we are running 3 Masoon. We find that to be a much more workable solution, because we had to let our architect go. Then we started looking for foremen, and then we noticed that foremen, all they do is crack the whip all day and try to, pound their chest. So 3 Masoons, they have their helpers, and then we've added extra labor, and that seems to be a nice click. But I do know a fair amount about construction. I do not know a lot about concrete, but some of the processes are quite similar. If you're watching our videos for the first time, you're probably going to ask why we've got 2 different fence systems. What they're working on right now, straight ahead here, is what we're going to call our privacy fence, because we want as much of this land open as possible for that cow and other reasons. Then we have our security fence going in up front. until we determine how this neighboring property, we won't continue the fence. But we need a way to secure up the front so that people stop using our driveway as the super highway to the barangay basketball court. Now, finally, I will get to the last of what I want to talk to everybody about if you're coming here for the first time. If you think that you can walk up and shut down a videoke machine in this country, good luck. So if that is the type of thing that's going to bother you, you better pick your land well. Even in Angeles, we were on the 6th floor of an 8th floor building, and right below us, quite often, 3 o'clock in the morning, oh, no. Yeah, if you can't handle it, you better not come to the Philippines. And lastly is pollution. There is no concept of garbage cans here, guys. The garbage cans will be there, but they just put it down. They don't do anything. So, you know, we knew that going in. We knew that when people come and visit their loved ones in the cemetery that all the garbage was going to be there. And I just go and pick it up. That gives me something to do. What the hell? Anyway, keep in mind that kind of thing if you're thinking of coming to the Philippines. Other than that, you know that I'm hard on budgets. I think that you have to be more vigilant than your native country when it comes to budgeting here, because you can get yourself in trouble really quickly here. And if nothing else, maybe your check just doesn't come on time. You can't live real time here, guys. You have to budget. Okay, part 2 is going to be all today's updates. Later, Gators.